Hey guys, welcome back to Vic's Podfic. I know it's been a while. I said I was gonna post more and do more because I'm on break and all that, but I'm lazy and I was hanging out with a lot of friends, so yeah. Anyways, I know y'all don't want to listen to me. Yep, so let's get into it. Okay, so I will be reading for you Watching the Sunrise by Max the Book Dragon. Sorry. The author says that the only trigger warning that might be, maybe a little, triggering is that there's a car crash towards the end. It's not, explicit, but just, if you don't want to hear about that, if you know what I mean. So that is a trigger warning for you guys. Alright, let's get into it. And the summary is, so vigilantism. It turns out Izuku's still not very good at it, which is a shame because he really thinks he might have accidentally freaked out Mr. Brave while he was haunting him for a little while. Which is why when he spots Eraserhead, he thinks to himself, hey, I haven't traumatized this one yet, and decides to haunt a new hero. And that's the summary. Now let's get into it. It started with rumors, and it escalated with Mr. Brave. Eraserhead, he says over the phone. Somehow, even that one word is telling. It's just to the left of casual, and falls just barely short of professional. He's nervous. Yes? Shota braces himself for some bad news. Coming to a standstill on a dark rooftop in Musutafu, he is distinctly not braced for Mr. Brave's next question. Do you believe in ghosts? Shota blinks. He swallows down his knee-jerk exasperation and takes a moment to think. The man's voice is still attempting at professionalism. And although it's missing the mark, it doesn't sound like a joke either. So a serious question deserves a serious answer. No, not really, he deadpans. Oh, well, that complicates things. What do you know about your new vigilante? Shota's eyes narrow. There's a new vigilante? Has he heard about this? He has, right? Probably best to let Mr. Brave jog his memory. Enlighten me. There's a light sigh over the line. Or maybe Shota's projecting. And it's more like a deep breath. What does he know? Well, as best I can figure, the rumors are true. That is... What does that even mean? No, wait. Ghosts, vigilantes, probably ridiculous rumors. There it is. A post from a few months ago. About some kind of angel appearing in the middle of a hero battle and saving someone. It picked up traction lately because supposedly the so-called angel has been spotted a few times in the last couple of weeks. And... oh wait, Brave is talking again. I know it sounds crazy. I thought I was going crazy too, but then I heard some creepy laughing in the empty gym and... You're telling me the new vigilante in town is a ghost? It's not a question. Shota wishes it was a question. Yeah. Shota sighs and drags a hand down his face. He's too old for this. He's not even old. He's too tired for this. Thanks for the heads up. Any idea how to catch a ghost? No. Great. Shota hangs up and resumes patrol. So, vigilantism, it turns out, Izuku's still not very good at it. Which is a shame, because he really thinks he might have accidentally freaked out Mr. Brave while he was haunting him for a little while. And he didn't mean to, but following around a pro hero that actually uses weapons sounded like a really good idea at the time. But following isn't the same as learning, and then Mr. Brave actually screamed when Izuku rattled a metal trash can lid on accident, and so, yeah, he's not very good at this yet. Well, actually, he's really, really good at some stuff, like when that one kid needed help finding their dog, or when that lady was asking for help with her cat, who somehow found its way onto a building's ledge and couldn't figure out how to get it back down, so animals? He guesses. Izuku is good at helping animals. He's not so good at muggings, however, or robberies, or giant villains, or, well, vigilantism as a whole. He tends to trip over his wings, or his spear, or his feet, which is why when he spots a racerhead, he thinks to himself, "Hey, I haven't traumatized this one yet," and he decides to haunt a new hero. So, apparently, the new vigilante in town is a kid, which would have been nice to know. Shota makes a mental note to talk to Mr. Brave about leaving out important information. How did the man think it's a ghost was more important than it's a small child? To be fair to the kid, though, he's pretty good. Not great. Terrible, actually. But he hasn't hurt anyone yet, and that's more than Shota can say for most kids. So, pretty good. He watches the kid, child, tiny, tiny child, trip over his own wings as he turns around to check on the victim. A woman with purple hair and long pointed ears. The criminal had fled at the sight of a spear, most likely quirk-related, but then what about the wings that had appeared out of nowhere? Shota let them go. They seemed more desperate than dangerous anyway. Instead, he sighs and jumps down from his perch on the fire escape, activating his quirk. "So, you're..." Shota blinks. The woman blinks back. The kid is nowhere to be seen. "You can't just scare me like that, Eraserhead!" Izuku finally yells after the incoherent shrieking subsides. The man can't hear him, obviously, but Izuku would have literally died if he wasn't already dead. He just came out of nowhere and blinked Izuku out of whatever he wants to call that state of existence. Tangibility, reality, whatever. The point is, jump scaring a ghost isn't the only completely unnecessary holy crap, but also, like, breaking the rules. Izuku tells him so. He continues to rant about it all the way back to the hero's home. Shota's cat is acting weird, which is sort of the norm, because cats are always weird, but it's a different weird now. He honestly might not have even noticed if she weren't so weird to begin with, but Bastard is calm. It's unsettling. Shota's unsettled. He's also too tired to look a gift horse in the mouth, or a mildly possessed demon cat in its weirdly calm eyes. As the case may be, so he gives the weird cat a wide berth and prepares for patrol. It's been maybe too long since Shota actually slept. Long enough that Hisashi has grounded him, like he's a child. Honestly, he doesn't know why he puts up with the man sometimes. But the gang violence on the outskirts of Musutafu has been picking up recently, and the police asked for help identifying and capturing a perpetrator in a string of thefts. And he still needs to submit actual lesson plans for the upcoming school year. Apparently, I'll probably just expel all of them again, isn't sufficient. So, it's 4 a.m., and Shota's digging through his cabinets for coffee instead of patrolling, which is fine, because, as previously stated, he still needs to make lesson plans. What isn't fine is the fact that his coffee is nowhere to be found. Every single item from his pantry is piled on the kitchen counter and strewn across the floor before he's willing to give up. It's gone. This is sabotage. This is betrayal. Hisashi will never see his revenge coming. Apparently, Hisashi wasn't responsible for the coffee. Shota will have to take his word for it, if only because he's not willing to call Tsukauchi to confirm something so trivial. There's the added evidence that his new security cameras installed in the kitchen haven't shown any movement, and yet his coffee continues to go missing. But Shota can't entirely let go of the idea that Hizashi is behind this, because the other options are somewhat less agreeable. For one thing, he doesn't want to think it might be Nezu. Enough said. For another, he doesn't particularly want to deal with the consequences of a villain knowing where he lives, especially if said villain can get in and out without being seen. And the other option, Shota glances at Bastard, sitting eerily still, staring unblinkingly at the recliner. His eyes go up to the ceiling lights, flickering ever so slightly. Then he shrugs off the ludicrous idea. The other option isn't an option, so there's nothing to worry about. How does one go about Nezu-proofing their apartment? There have been complaints around this particular bar. Nothing flashy, nothing glamorous, nothing during daylight hours. Nothing the heroes would normally be interested in. But people have been reporting small thefts. They go in, they get blackout drunk, and then they leave with an empty wallet. 1 or 2 reports would be nothing. 5 might be a slight coincidence. 10 is interesting, but nothing the police can't handle on their own. But there have been 102 reports in the past 2 weeks. And so, here Shota is, asking for another water. Tsukauchi was polite, but when Hizashi finds out Shota was chosen for this stakeout, he's going to be insufferable. Shota hasn't been able to get his caffeine fix for about 2 weeks now, and it shows. He's well aware that he looks like he just lost a job, an apartment, and a lot of money all at once. Unfortunately, he fits right in here. The waitress comes by with a coffee, as well as a glass of water, and flashes him a smile. You look like you needed it. She moves on, humming softly under her breath. Shota blinks tiredly. Maybe he should have turned down the mission after all. It's been a long week. He reaches for the coffee, only for it to scoot subtly out of reach. He blinks again, then squints at the mug. Distantly, he's aware of the waitress still hovering nearby, humming that same tune. Is he hallucinating? Is he actually that tired? He reaches forward again, and again the mug moves away. That's it. He's definitely hallucinating. He stifles a yawn with one hand and jerks his eyes open before he notices they've closed. It's fine, he reasons, leaning forward to plant his forehead on the table. It's fine, because it's just petty theft. The police will catch whoever it is eventually. Shota can rest his eyes for 5 minutes. 5 minutes, that's all. That humming sounds nice. Someone shrieks. Something shatters. Shota's neck hurts from how fast he jerked upright and whipped towards the sound, quirk activated. The waitress stands next to Shota's table, holding his wallet in one hand and dripping with coffee. Out of the corner of his eye, he can see the shards of ceramic mug all over the floor behind her, and then it registers. He's not nearly so tired now that he's leveled the waitress with a quirk-enhanced glare. The humming, probably. The coffee might have been laced, too. Shota narrows his eyes and holds out a hand for his wallet. The girl hands it over with shaking hands, without even blinking. Shota pulls out his hero license to show her. You're under arrest. Later, still pale-faced, she asks him how he threw the mug if his quirk is erasure, not telekinesis. He gives her a blank stare. He's been told those are unsettling, and he's happy to use that fact to his advantage. She says the cup moved on its own, and she assumed he threw it at her, but then she shivers and whispers, It got cold. I could have sworn I heard someone yell at me, but no one could have. You were asleep. As he watches the police car drive away, He files the whole incident under reluctant evidence that Mr. Brave's ghost theory might not have been entirely wrong. Shota can't help but feel sort of relieved the next time the lights flicker in his apartment. He really thought he'd lost it for a moment there. He's not sure what happened after the incident at the bar, but everything went back to normal. His ghost problem just stopped being a problem for a few weeks. Coffee, all accounted for. Cat, demonic. Lights, perfectly normal. It was like the moment he resigned himself to ghosts, or ghost-adjacent quirks, the ghost packed up and left. He kept an eye on the news and on the streets for the duration, hoping to spot something about the guardian angel, but there was nothing. Now the lights are flickering again, but they are sporadic, much worse than they ever were before. He frowns at his phone for what he's just forced himself to Google. What does it mean if the ghost is flickering the lights more than usual? The search results are resoundingly unhelpful, and the strobe lights are giving him a headache. He sighs, scrubbing a hand down his face. Do ghosts do breathing exercises? He grumbles into his empty apartment. The lights stop flickering. He glances tiredly around for his cat. Sure enough, Bastard is staring. He shifts his eyes to the recliner, trying for about the head height of the guardian angel vigilante kid, and sighs. Listen, I don't know what's wrong, or what exactly you think you're doing in my apartment stealing my coffee, but it would be nice if my lights could stop acting like I live in a nightclub. So, breathing exercises. In for 5, hold for 7, out for 9. He models the exercises for empty air, counting his own breaths, because apparently this is just his life now. After a few rounds with no more flickering lights, he nods to himself and gets up to get ready for bed. Izuku sniffs, wiping at his face with his sleeve, even though he knows by now he can kind of just willpower the tears away. Thanks, he whispers to the empty living room. So apparently there's a ghost, and apparently they spend an inordinate amount of time in Shota's apartment. And now that Shota has resigned himself to the fact, he has begun to notice something new. There are cold spots. They were random at first, or they seem that way. But Shota's a naturally curious person, so he started an experiment. As best he can figure, the room is colder wherever Bastard is staring. Presumably where the ghost is, or where the lights flicker more than usual. He still doesn't really know what it means, but whatever. It means that the ghost can more or less control the cold spots, and that means they can communicate. Shota flops onto his couch with a huff, eyeing the cat, who has abruptly cut herself off in the middle of running around the apartment and wailing in order to stare at a corner of the ceiling. Good, the ghost is here. All right, he says to the empty air of his apartment, and it's not weird, and he's not sleep-deprived. Not more than usual, anyway. We're gonna play a game of hot and cold. Whatever you do with the cold spots, do that. Cold for no, warm for yes. He pauses, blinking. Right, he should confirm. Understand? A shiver runs up his spine before the temperature gets abruptly warmer. He grins. This can work. Izuku actually really likes Eraserhead. For one thing, he's really, really cool. And for another thing, he started talking to Izuku. Like, sure, Izuku sometimes gets to talk to ghosts, and he talked to a few other living people recently, like Shinso a few weeks ago. But he used to talk to his mom all day, every day. And maybe she would catch on like Eraserhead has. And then she would talk to him too. But he still hasn't even gone home. And he just really misses being able to talk to people. So he likes Eraserhead a lot. Once he figured out, or confirmed, that Izuku was the guardian angel, he started talking out loud a lot more. He'll go through his case step by step, explaining how he solved the mystery or caught the bad guy. Izuku even gets to help sometimes. Sometimes Izuku sees things Eraserhead can't, since he's not invisible. Izuku gets really close when Eraserhead doesn't have something right, which makes the air cold. And they have these really long conversations, and it's just so nice just to hear another person's voice, and the fact that he's talking specifically to Izuku is really nice too. Anyway, it feels bad for keeping this from Eraserhead. Is the thing, but he can't really... Communication is still hard with Eraserhead, because the man never asks for help, ever, even though he clearly needs it. So he literally physically can't tell Eraser that Himiko, the girl from before who first called him a vigilante, is living in a refrigerator box in an alley behind the sushi place on Hikari no Soto Street, and clearly starving. He feels bad, but he has to do something, and he can't do anything here with Eraserhead. The kid has been away for a few days now, and now Shota knows beyond a doubt that he's the guardian angel vigilante. He can't help but worry. It's distracting. It's annoying. His musings are cut off by a scream, made faint by distance. Somebody help! A flash of lights up in the night, marking the arrival of the guardian angel. Shota runs. He was a couple blocks away, crouching on a tall building for the vantage point. He knows, logically, that being so far away was inevitable. Emotions, infuriatingly, don't adhere to logic. He just hopes he can get there in time to make a difference. He quiets his footsteps the moment he lands on the rooftop he was aiming for, creeping towards the edge, where conversation can just barely be heard. Don't want this. I know you don't. You don't know what I want. You're just hurt. You're hurting and hungry and... Shota peeks over the edge. The guardian stands, not quite in the back corner of the alley below, wings spread and hands out in front of him. A few feet away, inching closer, is a girl with a knife. And I need blood! I know, but there has to be a... The girl steps even closer, right up in the guardian's face, and says so quietly, Shota almost doesn't hear it. I wonder if you bleed. He's moving before he can think better of it, dropping into the alley from 3 stories up, slinging his capture scarf around the fire escape to cushion his fall. He's reckless in his haste, but he's still not fast enough. He hears a sharp intake of breath. His boots hit the ground at the same time as the kid. He tosses his capture scarf at the girl as she bolts from the alley, but she's fast, and he's distracted, rushing to the kid's side. There's a knife in his stomach. There isn't any blood. The kid turns wide green eyes on him and has the audacity to smile. It's a wobbly smile, not very convincing. I'm okay, Eraserhead. I can't really die twice, right? And then he disappears, and the knife clatters to the ground. Izuku kinda hates that he didn't at least get to take the knife with him, but okay. He's okay. He's not even bleeding, see? It hurts. Not bad, though. It's not even bad. He's definitely been hurt worse in his life. Just not since he died. Now, if he could just convince himself it doesn't hurt that bad, that would be great. He stares hard at the hole in his stomach and practices the breathing exercises Eraser had taught him. 5, 7, 9. Focus, Izuku. He can hear Eraserhead coaching the purple-haired kid through the same breathing exercises. It helps. It helps. Now, if he can willpower away the tears, he can probably... There, the hole goes away. Izuku flops back on the ground and breathes a shaky sigh. He stays there until the hurting stops entirely. Eraserhead doesn't panic. So he's not panicking right now, waiting for the police to come and pick up the ridiculously short kid. Apparently the girl's original target. The kid's babbling something about how he's sorry and she wanted revenge. Whatever. Something for the police to deal with when they get here. Now, if they would just get here so he can go home and interrogate his ghost, who better be waiting. It's been a bad night. Based on the expressions of the officers' faces when they finally arrive, it's showing. He passes on the relevant information as fast as possible and heads home. It's late. He brews himself a pot of coffee without interference and eyes the lights. They're flickering. Good. He shuffles to the couch, still fully dressed in his hero gear, except for his boots and capture scarf, and sits carefully down, resting his elbows on his knees. He knows he'll dirty the upholstery. Whatever, this takes priority. He sips a cup of coffee, thinking through his questions before he asks them. Things aren't quite adding up. The kid can clearly appear on the visible physical plane if he wants to. So why the hot and cold game? Why only show up sometimes? And as long as Shota's asking why vigilantism? He decides to ask the most important question first. Are you injured? A wave of cold rolls over him and stays there. Something almost settles in his chest. It might be good news, other than he can remember the kid smiling and saying he was okay, so the kid's obviously a liar. He takes a deep breath, in through the nose, out through the mouth, runs a hand down his face. Can you show me? The air is warm for a moment, then it runs frigid again. That's a no. Right, so that's that then. Shota tries not to let his frustration show, but he's frayed like a bad rope. He has no idea how much of his mood is showing right now, but it's probably too much. Abruptly, he decides that it's far too late for this. I'm not going to lecture. He sets his mug on the coffee table. I don't know who you are. I don't know why you aren't talking to me. I'm going to bed. And that's exactly what he does. The ghost doesn't go away. Months pass, and the ghost doesn't go away. They hardly leave him alone for a few hours at a time. As far as Shota can tell, he's not sure if he's happy about that or not. For one thing, he's accidentally grown fond of the kid. On the other hand, the kid still refuses to talk to him in person. The guardian angel seems to be picking up some steam. Not enough to become a big name among the daylight heroes, or by extension, the media, but they're pretty well known among underground heroes. Word is, they've even exchanged more than a single sentence with a few of the others. Apparently they apologized for haunting Mr. Brave. Shota hung up on the man when he called to say as much. And then they said they were following you around. How's that going? Dial tone. The truth is, Shota doesn't really know how it's going. The ghost hangs around him, and he talks through his thought process out loud, and sometimes even receives feedback in the form of that infuriating hot and cold game. And that really is the crux of the issue. The kid has been appearing all over Musutafu, talking verbally with victims and villains, and heroes alike, and they still won't talk to Shota, even though they're existing in the same apartment more often than not. It finally comes to a head on a random Thursday night, because Thursdays are ridiculous. Every week, it's like every common idiot in the city simultaneously decides to commit petty crimes. So he's exhausted from a long patrol, taking a short breather on a park bench without a coffee from the vending machine, because the thing very suspiciously glitched when he tried to buy one. The night seems to be winding down, and then there's the screeching, crunching sound of tearing metal, and he's up and running again. It's not even a villain attack, it's a car crash. A bad one. A truck and an SUV with a family inside. Shota's not quite there when he sees a flash of light, and there's his ghost kid, prying the back door open and then freezing. He gets there. He listens as the kid comforts a teenage boy in his final moments. He stays when the kid steps back, eyes on something, someone, not in the car. He still checks the mother's vitals when the guardian angel says, a voice choked with tears, "No, you don't have to stay." He moves on to the father when the kid says, "I'll let them know, I promise." And then the kid leaves. He doesn't fade or disappear like before. He spreads his wings and flies away. Shota refocuses on the people he can save. He finds the kid, sitting on the edge of his apartment roof, playing with the spear, staring into the lightning sky. I really thought I would have run out of time by now, is what the kid says. He huffs a wet laugh. Hasn't it been hours? Shota approaches slowly. Yes, he answers. He doesn't really know where to go on from there, other than, "You all right?" The kid sniffles. Yeah, I'm good. Liar, just like Shota thought. He sighs and moves to sit next to the kid. You gonna disappear on me? The kid shrugs. I don't know. Maybe. Not on purpose. He clenches his fist. The spear appears again. He drops it, and it disappears. Shota hums, considering his next question. As it turns out, he doesn't have to say anything at all. We were too late. The kid pauses, but continues before Shota can interject. We were too late, and there was no way we could have been there on time anyway, and that boy didn't have to. He didn't have to die, but he did, and... He sucks in a shaky breath, and nobody could have done anything about it. As the sky gets lighter, Shota notices the tears on the kid's face. They drip off his chin and disappear before they hit the ground. He turns to face the sunrise and takes a breath. You're right. They sit in silence for a long moment. Shota watches out of the corner of his eye as the light flickers through the kid. He tries not to think of the tragedy of a life cut short. He doesn't succeed. What do I do? Whispers the kid. Shota swallows. It's a good question. A hard one. He's not sure, to be honest, but he has a starting point, at least. You keep going, one day at a time, and you try to be on time for the next one. It's the best answer he has. It's not good enough. The soft sniffle to his left is a testament of that. Oh, the kid says. Shota glances over. He's squinting at his own hand, which is getting even more transparent by the second. I guess time's almost up. He smiles that shaky smile at Shota. Shota briefly wonders at the sheer force of will it must take for this kid to smile. He tries not to grieve for a kid that's still sitting next to him. By the way, I'm not ghosting you on purpose. I just can't appear unless someone asks for help, as far as I know. Sorry. Shota blinks, and shelves that information to examine later. Later, he'll feel like an idiot about that. Later, he'll re-examine every interaction he's ever had with the kid and bemoan the fact that all he had to say was help me understand. Later. You got a name? Now the smile grows, and it shines like the sun, even as it fades from view. Izuku Midoriya! And the kid is gone, and Shota's alone on the roof with the ghosts of two kids. He swallows thickly and blinks dry eyes. He stays to watch the sunrise. I'm sorry, guys. That was so good. I love this fic. Oh my god. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed that. Sorry, I'm freaking out. Anyways, that was this fic. And then I don't know if you guys want to know the notes, the author's notes at the end, but I'll read them for you. The kid in the car crash moved on. He's not going to hang around, thank God. And then Izuku managed to pass the kids last message to his parents via Aizawa a few days later when he goes to visit them in the hospital. Yes, Toko tried to murder Mineta. We may or may not get that later. Ooh, that's the 5th fic. I will be reading that for you guys. And then... okay, and there's like other stuff, but I'm too lazy to read it. You guys can read it for yourself if you want to. But that was watching the sunrise. And I hope you guys enjoyed. It was really good. And again, I'm sorry that I didn't post more this week and like this general 2 weeks, because I've just been lazy and like hanging out with my friends over the break, because yes. And that's... yes. I don't even know what to say, bro. I just hope you all enjoyed. Okay. Oh, wait. I remember. Leave some kudos on this fic. I know y'all thugs don't like doing that. You don't like going into the description and clicking on the link, which is clickable now because I had my mom verify. Yes, I know. So click on that link and leave a kudos, bruh. Thank you and goodbye.